to Chasin Tales, episode 34. We got the great Mike Grendel coming on with us here in a minute. He's done everything from 2.5 stock to Grand Prix, even flipped a Grand Prix. We'll talk to him about that one. He's promoted a race in Webster, Massachusetts. Now he sits on the board at Grand Prix America. He's done a lot in the sport. Anything you guys want to bounce in here and say before he comes on?
Has he ever been on your radios?
Yeah, so we're gonna do our best to keep this within an hour of talking with Mike, but you know how it goes. We don't even keep ourselves within an hour, so
Yeah.
let's go ahead and bring
Mike's
Mike
definitely
Grendel
not
on.
keeping it within an hour.
We'll see what he does.
I'm
Hey,
going
Mike,
to try to keep it.
welcome to Chasing Tails.
Thanks, guys. It's an honor to be on, honestly. I've watched you guys. I'd be lying if I say I watched you guys live 34 times, but I pretty much watched everyone and kind of criticized the good and the bad. But what you guys are doing for the sport and to promote it for the fans and for us racers and keeping us informed of what's going on is it's pretty awesome. It was a great idea for you guys and love every second of it.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. So I guess first off, we'll talk a little bit about your GP season this year. Obviously, you had a lot of ups and downs, but ended on a pretty good up. Walk us through how your season went from your eyes.
Well, Jeff pretty much summed it up pretty good in his interview in San Diego. It was a pretty rough season, a lot of ups and downs, and you'd go out and run a good heat and then have an engine issue. And always seemed like we'd make the final, but we'd always be out in lane 4 or 5. And, you know, as well as I do, Brandon, and you guys too in the 2.5 small classes, it's pretty hard to win from out there, but kind of capped it off at the end of the year with a great race in San Diego. We're really fast and made a few boat adjustments, and Jeff hit a great start, and the boat was just right. You know, sometimes you just go out there and it's just right, and it was right for that race course, and it finished off the season pretty well. It made me pretty pumped up for 2025, that's for sure.
Definitely got to give you a little boost. I'm sure if you had troubles there, the winter would be a lot slower. But now you're trying to get it going for next year. I guess your boat's up at Bert Henderson's shop and then heading to get repainted.
Yeah, it actually just left Bert's today after being up there for 2.5 months.
Go figure it got done while he's on vacation. That's how it works.
Yeah,
Hydroplane.
yeah. Thank God for Ralph and Jamie and Owen. They got it finished up today, and it's actually on its way to the Valley Field. So Alex and JP and Dan can get going on it and get it repainted. We're kind of going a little bit different paint job, kind of similar, but just a little bit different. And really looking forward to it. And we really we have a new engine program coming out this year that we're pretty hyped about. I felt like Roger brought us to a certain level, and you know, Roger Mahan is a great guy and helped me out like your father did, Brandon, and to get us going in Grand Prix. You know, our engine builder kind of was missing in action back a few years ago, and your dad finished up an engine for me, and then Roger kind of took over and brought us to where we are today, and just feel like he's got enough on his plate with trying to run 2 Grand Prix, and I felt like it was time to just do something different. And Frank had been talking to me for a few years, wanting to do something, so we kind of went in that direction. But can't thank your father for getting us going and everything he's ever done for me, and Roger Mahan for countless things that man has done for me, and to support me going Grand Prix racing is unbelievable. And now we're just kind of trying to move forward a little bit and trying to be hopefully a little more dependable next year and get going.
That's awesome. Well, you're bringing a lot of people with you. I think 2 or 3 others going with Frank Beck for engines. And honestly, I think it's really cool seeing what he posts on Facebook. I mean, that guy's got a ton of parts. He's got a lot in stock. It seems like he's ready to take a vested interest into the Grand Prix class. And I know he's been around a long time with Huey kind of in the background. And so he's probably learned a lot by watching and listening to Huey talk too much. So it's going to be exciting to see what he can turn it into with you guys and the other ones in the class.
Yeah, I mean, he really wants to be involved in the class, and not just me. With, you know, he's building a couple engines for Larry Lynn and Brian Richards, and you know, obviously he's looking to stock parts for all the guys, and as we all know, that's a big problem Grand Prix. It seems like when you need something, it's not available, and he's willing to make the investment in the sport and in the class, and he's really looking forward to 2025 for sure.
Awesome. You boys got anything to add on that note?
Nope.
Maybe if Bob stops chewing.
No, I'm sorry. I'm eating licorice. For Christmas, I got 5 pounds of licorice for someone gave it to me for Christmas, and I just can't stop eating it.
Buddy,
So
we're
he's about
7.
4 pounds
we're
heavier.
about 10 days after Christmas. You ain't gonna make GP weight. You keep eating that.
I was really
Because,
expecting Bob to wear the Bad Influence, jersey today. I'm kind of surprised he's not, actually.
I want to
figured
grab.
that would be a plus.
I was going to grab it, right? And I grabbed it, and as I'm walking from where I have all my race shirts, I look at it, I'm like, this is a little small. I look at the tag, and it's a medium. It was Sarah's. And I'm like, well, where's mine? Mine must be upstairs in my closet somewhere. It's where we keep the important ones, Mike.
Roger is bringing both boats out next year.
That is the plan for 2025, and that comes right from him.
That's cool to hear.
In all honesty, guys,
Dylan Runny is running one of them, and I believe Bobby King's running the other. That's the rumor on the street. Rumor on the street.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure who's driving the second one. I know for sure Dylan's in the one boat. I truly feel Grand Prix is on a really upward climb. When you figure where we were, in 2005 when HRL came back in and really revived the class, and you got to give it to them for getting Grand Prix back on the map and everything they've done for the class and for hydroplane racing in general, and to where we are today. And I kind of joined GPA a few years ago, and during COVID they were still racing, HRL were kind of not, and kind of get more involved, and they asked me to be on the board and to kind of take care of the East Coast side a little bit, I think. And as you know, I'm pretty opinionated sometimes, so I pretty much say kind of how I feel. But Grand Prix in general is really on the upswing with, you got Roger coming out with 2 boats, and, Ed Thompson coming on board, and Ronnie as well, building his own brand new boat with you guys. And you got Brian Richards, who's just been the Darryl Strong of Grand Prix boat racing. I mean, let's face it, the guy is all in. The guy is all in 100%. He's putting his money where his mouth is, and he's just an unbelievable advocate of the sport in the class. And, the Luptons as well, they bring up the competition. Being out in San Diego and seeing all those boats out there were really impressive. The competition in our class, I'm sorry, it's never been better. I've been in Grand Prix road racing since 1995 or 96, I think was our first year. And you always had the 2 or 3 boats at the top, but it's not like that anymore. I'm sorry. I know, Brandon, you guys pretty much won everything you were in this year, but it wasn't easy, I'm sure, every heat. And next year, it's going to be twice as hard because everybody always wants the guy at the top of the mountain. And it's now the 35, so everybody's gunning for him,
Yeah,
and
I said that after the win in the final in Cambridge. Like, there was years in Grand Prix, there was easy heats. You could just get out and cruise. Now I feel like every heat is hard. I was just sitting here in the basement the other day watching back some heats, and I'm like, wow, there were some tough ones. Like, you really had to work, had to stretch the equipment, and the equipment lasted. I feel like that's one of the things that has happened over the years, at least with our program now, is you get to that ability to where you can just finish races, then you can put other things together and get the speed going again. That's the hardest thing we've ever seen with Grand Prix. But again, back to the package that HRL's created, I feel like put us in that bubble that we can have motors that are pretty much similar. You can mess up a tune up, or obviously when like you guys' problems this year, once you hit that death spiral, it's really hard to get out of it. You got to almost stop and then start over. But just the package, aside from the competition, just everyone's going out finishing. The beginning of the year is always tough, but like you said, out San Diego, almost everyone was finishing. Would you have 7 or 8 boats start the final, all finished, I believe?
yeah. And I mean, listen, I mean, we've won some heats in the past and some finals, but winning San Diego, and when you beat the Luptons, you beat somebody, right? I mean, not to say the West Coast guys aren't great or not good, because they are. Those boats are very capable of winning on a mile and 2/3 course any day of the week. And they've stepped up their game. I feel since when we first started racing with those guys have gotten faster.
For sure.
There is no easy heats, but winning San Diego, I felt was kind of our first. I don't want to say real win, but I really wish Brandon was there, and that would have been the coup de grace. But it was fun winning that race, and it was really a great time. But the Grand Prix to me has never been in a better spot than it is today.
Definitely.
2025 is looking super good.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like just seeing all the organizations working together. I mean, you and I just spoke the other day of Daryl Strong talking from H1 with GPA and trying to collaborate on a lot of the things. That's huge. Even APBA. Like I feel like this is the best time I've ever seen where all organizations are working together for the betterment, not only of the sport, but obviously Grand Prix is perspiring from it. That was a pretty big word from me. Thank you. But anyway, so let's jump into the schedule. Where are we going first with GPA racing?
Well, I mean, there will be announcement coming out on Wednesday. I mean, we are on the schedule for Gunnersville, but they are going to make a big press announcement on Wednesday.
They have
Like
the
I
Texas
wrote-
Tri-Hulls? Is that what it is? Texas Tri-Hulls?
I really don't want to let the cat out of the bag on who's going to be there and who's not.
Yeah,
but
they're the Sunday final, Texas Trials Sunday final. The last
I will
week.
say, Roger Mahan is in Atlanta, Georgia right now with his Grand Prix, with a couple other hulls, and they're promoting the Gunnersville boat race for June. And
Oh, wow.
but starting off in Gunnersville, that committee, there's not very many committees that work harder than those guys on trying to make their race better and better every year. And I feel like they've come a long way since the first time I've been there. And then, off to Madison after that, which, listen, if nobody's ever been to Madison, you got to go. I mean, there ain't nothing like that parade and the people, and you're so close. And you get the really small town feeling in Madison. It's if you're a boat racer, I'm sure you've all watched the movie, but it brings it brings goosebumps when you come into Madison on boat race weekend. It kind of makes you feel like when you go into Valleyfield, you're in a special place. And obviously, I mean, we got negotiations going on with Valleyfield, hopefully to do the GP challenge again next year. This year, I should say now. I really felt like it worked. I think we can get better with it. I think we can bring out more boats. That was really the whole idea of it, is get more boats on the water. I feel like we accomplished that, but I feel like we got more to go. And then out to Tri-Cities, and Seattle's looking pretty good. I can't sit here and say that it's official, but Seattle's looking pretty good. I talked to Daryl Strong today, and he's in negotiations with them, and there's a pretty good chance a Grand Prix is going to be on in Seattle. And then San Diego is there, and there's actually talk about another boat race, but I can't say anything about it because nothing's official. But there is another boat race that could be on the horizon for Grand Prix, but I'll leave that at that. And schedule's looking really good. I mean, certainly we're open to go other places as well, but it's kind of what my schedule is going to be. You never know. There could be if something drops. I mean, we certainly could go other places, but it's kind of what we're looking at for 2025 and GPA. That's kind of where the GPA is going to be.
Yeah, there's definitely a good schedule going on. I mean, excited to have a potential to go to Seattle. That's a huge mecca event. Some of the things Brian Richards told me about the sponsorship you can get there and all that. I mean, it's where boat racing's meant to be. Kind of, I would say like the Valleyfield or like Madison, when you have some of that history to it. We haven't been back there. I know there's been a Facebook group that's like bring GPs back to Seattle and all that. So it's cool to maybe potentially have that opportunity to go back.
I mean, listen, besides San Diego, guys, there you go, Bobby. Now you're talking. Listen, in some of these race sites defense, I mean, on the West Coast, we haven't performed and we haven't showed up.
Right.
I don't blame some of these race sites for not putting us on. I mean, you know, Brian Richards and the GPA group really put their money where their mouth is, and everybody showed up in San Diego. The boat count was unbelievable. You know, seeing those 7 boats come around the corner in the final was pretty impressive, and on that race course. And we want more of that. I mean, we love that at every event. We're hoping that we can, get the HRL guys and the GPA guys together and race more together. I mean, there's not enough teams out there to split up the races and the race sites. I mean, my, my idea, and this is coming from Mike Grendel, nobody else on the GPA board, or I'm not speaking for any other Grand Prix owner, but we need to go to sites. If we're ever going to become a series, we need to go to sites where there's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people. H1 kind of drives that whole deal. And you want to call us a subclass or call us whatever you want. I'm okay with that. I like racing in front of all them people. And, when you're talking to potential sponsors and for the class and for yourself and for the series, when you say you're racing in those big cities and that type of sponsorship, I mean, people in attendance, it makes a big difference. It's hard to, again, I'm not going to mention any race sites because I don't want to talk down about it because they all have their good points. But it's hard to say if you bring up a race site and there's 500 people there. I mean, what does that really do for the sponsor if we don't have TV or some type of video so people can watch? I mean, people want their name out there. People want to see it.
I mean, not just for sponsors, but for trying to bring in new racers. I mean, if you get in front of 60,000 people versus 500, chances of bringing someone into the sport is way, way higher. I mean, and right now we need to start getting people in the sport. I mean, just as much as we need sponsors. So, I mean, we definitely need to be going to the bigger races.
I really feel that, Brian Richards and really put his foot forward in the Grand Prix class but with Brandon and Brian really pushing out the publicity on the internet and what they're doing with the videos. I mean, you got to do that stuff, guys. And it's hard for smaller race courses to pay us the money that we want and need to go to a boat race. I mean, I know I've been in every class, guys, so I know what everything costs. I know what it costs to put a 350 motor together and a 2.5 stock, and everybody needs as much money as we can get, right? But, for a Grand Prix to go to a race site, it costs me anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a weekend, just in travel expenses to get there, hotels, airfare, fuel to get your boat there, your truck, and that's just scratching the surface. So you're never going to make money. Well, we hope we would make money in this industry, but you're never going to make money in this industry unless you bring in big sponsors to at least offset some of the costs. So the more money that we can collect and pay out to the guys, it certainly helps,
Yeah, I agree.
And it helps them give it back to the sport. Like you said, I think it's been mentioned, I don't know if anything's official on it, but GPA wants every boat to have, or mandating every boat to have 2 GoPros. That's part of some of the money you get that goes right back into promoting the class and promoting the series. All that stuff needs to work out to keep growing. And we talked about some of the race sites. I know some of these race sites become conflicts. We've had that discussion in the past last year with Brockville and Gunnersville. This year, I believe it's Gunnersville and Decatur. A lot of these sites, I feel like, especially on the HRL side, can withstand without GP. The show is so good with 2.5, 2,500, and 350s and skiffs that they really don't need us. And us showing up with 4 to 5 boats is not as beneficial as us not being there and them running 2 separate days. I talked to John Tomey, and he said when they run the 2 days in Brockville, it was like intense both days because you're running 2 qualifiers in a final, and like it's action packed. It is going to be the 10 to 15 people get on the internet and complain, oh, we want GPs, but they're not the majority. We just got to kind of ignore that sometimes and realize we're putting on a good show even without Grand Prix at some of those venues. Like, they will make it.
Yeah. I mean, I watch the races, guys. I'm always watching, HRL and when we're not racing. 2.5 stocks, the Formula 2500, the 350s, they're always great racing. I mean, look at the videos that HRL's putting out there right now. Look how close racing that is. I'm sorry, it's fantastic. It's probably the best racing there is. I mean, when you really think, yeah, the Grand Prix make the noise, and yes, we are the fastest, and and maybe the most coolest thing to watch on the water. But for just boat racing in general, I mean, those races were just this year. I mean, Brandon, how many boat races can you think about Grand Prix that are that close for that many laps side by side in a row? I bet you I can't count 5 on one hand.
Right.
Tommy
For the
Shannon
last
had more
10
than the whole
years.
GP class.
Yeah, for Tommy Shannon on his own had more.
Absolutely. I mean, so you can't say that it's not great racing. It's fantastic racing, you know? So they put on a great show. I mean, I
And I
think
can
those
speak for
sites
Decatur was awesome this year with what we had. There was some really good racing down there.
Yeah.
over there.
And I mean, the skips always put on a great show. Like
Mhm.
the skip should be, on all those races. I mean, those guys are freaking crazy. I mean, great show. I know you guys talk about the Texas Trials. I watch those guys too. Those guys are freaking nuts too.
They
I mean,
have
I
to
think
be.
it would be great.
It's crazy.
If
know?
Chasin Tails ever makes money, we're gonna buy a fleet of them, and we're
Why
gonna
don't we
take 'em to
just
the
reach out
races.
to the guys and just be like, just bring them out. We'll
Dude,
give
we
them
should
like,
we should go to a race though.
we'll give you a chance.
I think all the
Yeah.
GP owners should buy a Texas Tri-Haul,
There we go. Mandatory.
Oh, I
Except
bet you some
Brian.
would.
except Brian Richards. He owns enough boats. He
Yeah,
doesn't need
yeah,
to do
he-
that. He gets a free pass.
So,
Yeah.
If he
so
sold
on
one
that
of his
Mike,
boats, we could probably buy a couple.
right? So on that, Mike, we've had the conversation in our group text going on a little bit about limited inboard more than anything, but about having not all the events we have. Sometimes in APBA inboard, you have 20 events you can hit throughout the year, and I feel like GP could get to that point. There's a lot of races this year that we need to kind of nucleus down to maybe 6. Is there a number that you think works for a good series of races?
Well, you're always going to have the guys that are going to travel east, and you're always going to have some guys travel west. Unless there's a lot more money put on the table, it's really hard to bring more than the guys that already have. There needs to be some more temptation to get some guys to come east or come west. I feel like I really feel like some of the east guys can go west more than what have traveled besides, myself per se and the Ed Thompson certainly would have been in Tri-Cities this year if he would have had a motor together. And, I mean, Ed's a super, great racer and good guy, wants to compete, wants to race. We got to twist Ronnie's arm a little bit to get the 35 out there. But, I truly believe there's guys like, the 50, like I really believe Ken Brody, he runs out to San Diego. It's a shame that, Tonawanda's date is in there. Ken's a great racer and is super fast. He's a great asset to the class, and he would be, it'd be another super fast boat to run west. I feel like we could pull 3 or 4 more boats from the East Coast to go west. Just got to find a way to get them out there.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that one incentive. I know nothing's set in stone, but just briefing on the GP challenge, and we said we need to throw love to a West Coast race. So if it could line up, I don't know which race we talked about if we're allowed to share, but if it lined up to give some love to one that's had limited boat count over the years, that'd be great. Just try to incentivize. If you're leading or you're in the top 3, you're gonna go out there because that. I think the GP challenge, if it happens again this year, it's going to be so meaningful. I think between the 2 organizations working together, I think it's got the most marketability to it, and you're going to all big venues for it. So hopefully we can give some love to the West Coast.
I feel if Seattle does run and we can negotiate a contract with Seattle, I feel like, back-to-back weekends for the guys to come west and, the money that GPA does pay out and, the potential local sponsorships. And listen, I've been to Tri-Cities, and every time I go there, I get a local sponsor. And, same thing with Madison and hopefully Gunnersville could help out with that eventually as well and help the Grand Prix guys out to travel there. Sometimes $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, it makes a huge difference in budgets, guys. I mean, helps pay your hotel bill and airfare and bringing your team out to dinner a couple nights. Every little bit helps. And Tri-Cities, has really been on the short end of the stick a little bit on getting boat count for Grand Prix. It's, I apologize. I mean, I should have been there this year too. If I didn't have engine issues, I certainly would have went. Those guys have always opened me up with, treated me with open arms, and fantastic group that run that race. And it's up to Grand Prix to make it better. It truly is. We need to step up to the plate, and this year is the year to do it. I
Well,
really feel that way.
I hope that I hope the GP challenge is back, and I do hope that they pick, one or two races out west. I think after seeing the participation from San Diego with how many boats from the east went out west, I think, you might get just that many, if not more, next year, or this year, should I say? It's 2025 now. So I mean, I see the 35 traveling out there. Ed Thompson, I think from what he posts on Facebook, it sounds like he's all for going out there. I think the Luptons liked it. I mean, I didn't hear any complaints from him. And Roger, obviously, he's GPA, so I think we're going to get a bigger boat count out west this year than you've seen in the past.
I truly believe that in my heart of hearts, and I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot of times, and I love Grand Prix racing, but I truly feel like this is the year that we're really going to make a big step. I felt like we made a pretty good step last year, but we have work to do, and we have a meeting with Emily and coming up here in the next week or so, and we certainly want to try to put a GP challenge together again. I felt like it brought up boat count in Valleyfield, and it should do the same again. But we also want to bring up boat count in Madison and in Gunnersville. That was really the whole idea of the GP challenge. We wanted to bring boats, like Mario Blaine and Eric Langevin, Ken Brody's, the guys that kind of stay pretty much on the HRL circuit, the 104 Lynn. Try to get those guys to come to some different race sites, and then in that aspect, us GPA guys, I shouldn't call myself a GPA. I'm kind of both, but the guys like Ed Thompson and Roger Mahan and Brian Richards and the Hops. I mean, the Hops had every intention on coming last year, and they had some tough luck on an engine and they had to go home. But they've supported Grand Prix racing for years now, and nobody works harder than those guys. So
I agree.
I really feel like we could show up with 15, 16, 17 boats in Grand Prix in Valleyfield, but I just don't want to do that in Valleyfield. I want to do that in Gunnersville. I want to do that in Madison. I want to do that at every site, and we need to, because that's what makes for competition and good boat racing. Showing up with 5 or 6 boat at GPs at a race, to me, I'm sorry, it's not the way it should be. That's for sure.
Yeah,
because
I
you have one or
definitely
two go down, and then you don't have a show. So
I definitely think with the GP challenge, if it comes back, you'll have 12 boats at every GP challenge event. Obviously, there's going to be other events that are a part of HRL or part of GPA that are not a part of that challenge. But I think if we stick to those 5-6 races, you're going to have 12 plus boats at every one. And I think the way we saw how it was marketed and the advancements we can do to it, I think it'll get even better. I mean, we basically threw that thing together with boat racers' money, so to speak, right? Sponsorship from someone involved with boat racing and this, that, and other. But if we take that and build upon it, I'm sure we can get some outside funding to it, because it's going to be the same racers at every event, and it crisscrosses the country. It'd probably be a definitely good selling point.
there's also one thing I wish we would do as a GP class and stop categorizing ourselves in HRL or GPA. We just need to look at ourselves as GP, because all the GPs need to work together to make this class stay alive.
Listen, Bobby, I don't agree with you more. That's 100%, and that's kind of what I've said for the last 5-6 years. I'm not an HRL guy. I'm not a GPA guy. I'm just a GP guy.
Yeah.
And when I say something, sometimes it's really about just the Grand Prix class. What I feel like what the class needs to do moving forward, and how we can be better and stronger and survive. And the Luptons are obviously a huge part of this. Let's face it. They bring 2 boats at every event, super competitive. super great guys. Jeff said it best about San Diego. I mean, Warwick was on my boat as much as he was on his sometimes. It felt like he was part of our team, I mean,
Yeah.
those guys are always willing to give a helping hand to everybody. And I mean, great competitors. And one of these days, obviously, would love to go out to New Zealand, which I'm hoping. I mean, we might go out in February, at least to go watch one of those races. But super guys, and we're super glad to have them here. And those guys hopefully come to Tri-Cities. I mean, I know they've talked about it, and it'd be a great asset to the class. I really feel Warwick opened up Warwick's eyes a little bit driving out to San Diego. The United States is a big country.
Yeah.
New Zealand is the size of basically Colorado. So he was amazed on how big the United States is, and
It's probably
the
like, does this ever end?
There's
right?
cows in every state.
Yeah, right. I mean, he couldn't believe
every environment.
the fields and the corn and just the combines, how big they are in Nebraska, Iowa, how big farming is out in those states. And he was just amazed, so it was pretty cool. And the road, the drive to Tri-Cities, totally opposite than the drive to San Diego. You see different things. It's way different. You're up in the mountains. It's a beautiful ride.
Well, when you go through Montana, you're sitting there like, does this state ever freaking end? Because Montana feels like you're going through it forever. But but no, yeah, it's definitely different.
I even feel like GP on the West Coast has had a resurgence. With Brian coming in, certainly has been a kickstarted Grand Prix on the West Coast, and Eric Christensen came in and bought that one from the Hops, and not sure what his plans are for 2025 yet, but there's a couple people out west that have talked about getting Grand Prix, and there's a couple available that are pretty darn reasonable, and you can get in the class pretty cheap. And we'd love to have you all, and if anybody has any questions about getting in the class, by all means, get a hold of me, Brandon, on the East Coast or on the West Coast. You got Brian Richards, and get a hold of any of us. I mean, there are a few halls available. HRL built a lot of them back in the day, so there's stuff available. So,
yeah, I believe Eric Christensen is selling his, and I believe it's $65,000 or $68,000 turnkey, maybe turnkey.
I think that's a really good deal for that boat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a boat that literally could go out and win. Let's face it. It's all the Henderson hulls are pretty much. It's got the new sponsons on it. They're all pretty much the same. It's not heavy. It's put a good driver and a good engine program behind that. That boat can go out and win a race. No doubt in my mind.
I agree.
Definitely. So
Bobby Gunn said, you said, rumor has it the 79 will have a uniform change to leopard print.
How did I know that was going to come up? Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely. Oh, okay.
It was
Of course, he has a cell phone in his hand.
Definitely talking to somebody boat racing related.
Yeah, well, when you got a business to run, guys, sometimes vacations aren't vacations. You're always on the phone doing something. If my wife's listening, she's probably laughing because she's probably saying he was talking boat racing right there and not work. But
well, hey, I would much rather be working from the Dominican Republic than in Michigan right now.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. The weather's super nice here, and I posted a picture this morning. I was overlooking I was at the pool overlooking the ocean. It was it was pretty sweet. But awesome. My poor wife's at home. Her mom's not feeling very well, and she's not here with me tonight. I wish she was, and I miss her dearly. But honest to goodness, without her, I wouldn't be boat racing right now, because the whole chapter 2 of my boat racing career was all her idea. So she's the one to blame to where I'm at right now.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's open it up in the. Go ahead, Austin. Speak.
I was gonna say, it's not often the women actually get you into boat racing again. Usually they're the ones to get you out.
Well, I was trying to be super cool. And, when I met her, I showed her all these videos of me boat racing back in the day and trophies and bragging about how good I was, or at least I told her how good I was. And
we go down the GP story.
No, that was after the fact. I told her, I said, hey, Valleyfield's coming up. We should go we should go up and watch it. And she's like, yeah. And I totally forgot about it. And like a week before, she's like, are we going to Valleyfield? And I tried talking her out of going. There was no talking her out of going. And that's about all it took. And when I was there, I seen everybody again. And it was like, taking a shot of heroin and hooked again. And,
All right.
called Bert. I actually literally called Bert on my way home and had him build me a new boat. And
That's awesome.
And since then, his history.
Yep.
That's sweet.
So let's talk about that 2.5 stock. Do you know the amount of drivers you had drive that boat?
Oh. No, there's definitely been quite a few. Obviously Doug, you, my son, Bobby, John Shaw. I think John Shaw drove it. Scott Liddycoat. I guarantee you I'm forgetting a couple. Bert drove it.
Bert.
Maybe even Kent. Quite a few. But you know what, guys? Listen, that boat's still kicking ass on the circuit today.
It is.
And that boat is 14 years old. I couldn't be prouder to have sold it to Al Thompson. He certainly has kept it up front and worked, he's another guy, works super hard on it, always tinkering on it. John and him have worked very well together. And I've always been pretty proud to say that was my boat,
For sure.
That was a fast boat from the start. I mean, it came out, it was just started winning and never hasn't stopped winning. That's a really good boat. Bert must have did something extra special with that one. It was fun to drive it.
That was it. It was
told him
built
he was
for
going to
him.
drive it. So.
There you go. That's the secret sauce.
That's it. I mean,
That's great.
I've had Bert's built me 4 brand new boats. Actually, the one I sold you guys, Bobby, but I really didn't run that a whole bunch. But
Yep.
The 2.5 stock, the 5-liter, and the Grand Prix. I mean, I can't say a bad thing about the way Bert's built my boats and treated me well. And the boats have always been really good. I mean, I feel like Scott Kropfeld has kind of brought, the handling between him and Jeff. The handling on the Grand Prix now is by far way better than when Doug drove it. It's that boat's improved leaps and bounds. And, I wish, and Jeff says it all the time, I wish Doug could get in the boat and drive it today compared to when he drove it, back in 2018. He probably would, he might still be boat racing right now because it's a lot easier to drive today than it was then. Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
When was
So
it?
let's
When
see.
was that boat built?
Maybe you should get back in it and then show the world how it's done.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Yeah, look at that. What an idiot.
What an idiot is that cameraman? Like, stay on the shot, bro.
I mean, I got to say that wasn't one of my highest points. But, okay, in my defense,
Well, it might have
number
been one of
one,
your highest points.
That was
your
your first-
father was supposed to be driving that boat. Number one. Number two, Scott Kropfeld was on the radio saying, "Looks great, Mike. Looks great. Keep going. Great. You're doing a great job." And
Keep pushing.
number three, I shouldn't have been driving the boat to begin with, and drove way over my head trying to keep up to you. I wasn't going to let this little new kid kick my ass, but he obviously was gonna. As I didn't know he was backing off, letting me catch up. But yeah, that was an expensive lesson.
Whose idea was it to put Kropfeld on the radios?
Right. There's your first mistake.
Mike, I'd take you on the radios any day over Kropfeld.
Huey Newport. Okay.
Oh,
Huey Newport.
enough
That was
said.
the guy.
Enough said.
Jeez, I might have rather.
I mean, knowing
Huey
you
on
guys, you're
there.
probably just sitting there having a conversation back and forth.
Conversation. Have you ever talked to Scott Kropfeld? You can't have a conversation.
That's true.
It's a one-sided conversation.
That's a fact.
I remember one of the first times he was with us in the motorhome, and Matt Henning was on our team, and Matt's super quiet, and he looks over, he goes, "Does he ever shut up?" I'm like, "Nope, not one bit."
Yeah, I mean, Scott can talk. I mean, we value him on the team, and to get back to San Diego, we brought Mike Weiner and and Beauharnois and San Diego to give us a hand. Him and is God, her name escapes me right now, but and I'm sorry about that, but they, Mike Weiner's a super smart guy, and I felt he kicked up the engine program a notch, and he plans on being with us again in 2025, and we're really looking forward to it. I mean, Jeff is my driver for 2025 as of today, and unless something happens between now and then. I mean, Jeff does exactly what I want him to do. We don't always agree on a lot of things, and but him driving my boat he drives it the way I want him to drive it, and always remembers that he drives with he drives with my wallet in mind, and I don't want him to do what I just did in that video, right? Because it certainly costs you a lot of money and certainly puts you out of racing for a while. And I'm glad to have Jeff, and he's won a bunch of races for me, and always does a great job.
For sure.
Not sure if there's going to be a ride for him somewhere in the future in the H1 class. Certainly he deserves one. He's certainly an unbelievable driver. But obviously there's a couple seats open in the class, so who knows what's going to happen. But right now, 2025, he is 100% my driver. And I hope he is.
There you go. You better pay him well so he don't leave. Them unlimited teams, they pay lots of money.
I know. I can't afford. I can't compete. I can't compete. I have a hard enough time flying into the race site. For the love of God, I can't afford to pay him. He's lucky if he gets a cheeseburger on the weekend.
Right.
I'll take a cheeseburger.
Yeah, Austin don't get nothing.
No, I get told to work.
There you go.
But I do it.
He also has a great family. Christabel, she lets him go racing, and he's. I mean, obviously you guys all know he just doesn't race a Grand Prix, right? He's 5 liter, 2.5 stock, anything that's available. Jeff drives it, and he works on his boats when he's back home. He spends a lot of time away from his family, and she's super understanding. And we all got wives. We all understand how tough that is on that, to try to make that an equal balance. And he flies a lot to the East Coast to go boat race, and I give her all the props in the world. She lets him do what he loves to do.
For sure.
That's cool. Absolutely.
It's good to have a good backbone in your family. So let's get back to talking about how you got in the sport of hydroplane racing way back when. How'd you get your start?
Well, I moved to Canada when I was 8 years old, and moved to a little town in called Cocan, New Brunswick. I knew nothing about boat racing until I moved there. And Cocan, I'm going to say it's probably a lot like Madison. It was the event. It was the only event. And it was the big event of the summer. I fell in love with it as a kid. I would sit downtown starting on Wednesday. We had a little corner store and a gas station, and I'd sit there all day long, just waiting for the boats to come into town, and with my friends. And, we'd always try to sneak into the pits and try to wipe the boats, hold the boats on the dock. You know what it's like when you're young. I mean, you just want to be part of it. And I really fell in love with it as a young kid. And honestly, the funny thing is the first boat and crew that I hang out with was Charlie Smith. And back then he had the Dreamweaver, and was really competitive. And the other people was Mickey. God, they were from Boston as well. I can't think of their last name, but they as well. And Charlie was my idol for like 3 summers in a row. I mean, oh my God, Charlie Smith and the Carruthers. And it's funny, and you get to talk to him now, and Huey had started racing back then too. And it's I say this all the time to a lot of my friends. It's pretty cool. I get to race with my idols nowadays, and we're really close knit group, right? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you think about it. I mean, the fans out there. I mean, any one of us on the screen right now can pick up the phone and call Corey Peabody or Andrew Tate or Jay Michael or Jeff, and hey, those guys are H1 drivers like Chip Hanauer and those guys. And I mean, you get to talk to them like they're just regular guys. I mean, imagine if you're a stock car driver and you get to talk to Kyle Larson. I mean, because that's who those guys are. of our sport. And it's pretty cool to be able to have that friendship with them and hang out with them on the weekend. And it's that's really how I got started. And I always said I'd have a boat. And when I moved to the States, a good friend of mine, Mark Gogan, bought a boat from the Carruthers. And I crewed with him for a weekend and said, "Hey, Dad, I think we can do this. Let's look around." And but the very first boat I bought was called a Claim Jumper. It was a boat that I bought from Chris Orn out of, he actually lived about 30 miles from me, funny enough. And I mean, I bought that boat turnkey, helmet, driving suit, the whole thing for $3,500 and went boat racing. And that's really kind of started out the trajectory. Won Rookie of the Year my first year in Region 1 and bought a new boat from Vance Whiteman out in Indiana. Didn't work out as well as we wanted it to. We felt like we were lacking, but we were lacking on a lot of places and propellers and engines. And me and my dad were building our engines, and found out really quick we weren't engine builders. And after a while, got smart.
Were they 2300s 30 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, they had just come out. No aluminum head though, but they were 2300s.
They were stock.
Yeah, pretty much. And obviously, I want to say it was my second boat race, Greenwood Lake. The Export A showed up. Russell showed up with the first Export A, and it was like something out of Star Wars. You see that pull into the pits, and you're like, "Oh my God," and figured out pretty quick that if you didn't have one of those, you weren't going to be too competitive. So a couple of years later, bought a kit from Jamie and built it. And, me and my dad and a guy, Vance Whiteman, actually, I hired him to come out, and he actually came out and built it with us. And 96, we ran it. 95 a little bit. We only raced a few races. 96, we raced quite a bit.
That was the double trouble,
I hope
right?
Mike. Yeah, it came out with a double trouble. I hope Mike Monahan's listening because I'm the only guy to beat him that year. So in Shawinigan, Quebec, and won my first race actually a couple weekends before in Greenwood Lake, and your beat Ann Fitzgerald and actually beat your dad. Brandon had sold his boat, the old Wynot, to a guy, and it was still fast. And I can't remember the kid's name, but beat him, and I was on cloud 9, and after that, Dan, I was hooked.
Oh, that was the one he sold to Chris Yule out of Maryland.
Yes,
he called it 100%. I think he called it the Rump Shaker.
Yep.
It was blue.
Yep. Yes, 100% blue.
Yep.
Yep. And I was walking around with a peacock that day, but it didn't last very long. So
they never do. They never do. That's awesome though. So your journey into the sport, and now fast forward into nowadays, what do you think the biggest hump is to get into our sport for, say, a kid like you in today's day and age?
I mean, not to say that $3,500 wasn't a lot of money. Listen, I had my son, I had twin girls. I was just driving a straight truck for a tire company. I mean, I didn't have a lot of money. My dad helped me out, but $3,500 back then, it's not like nowadays. You want a 2.5 stock, competitive 2.5 stock, it's 10 times that now. It's hard, but I mean, it's like anything else. If you really want to do it, you find ways, right? You work overtime, you work 2 jobs, you put some money away, you work hard on a sponsorship package to try to get some people to help you around town. And a lot of times it's just word of mouth. I got fortunate when I got back into the sport back in 2010 that I met John McDonald, how you all know, and John helped me out tremendously for a few years and kind of got me going. And, then I kind of downsized a little bit after that, and after me and him parted ways. And now Jonathan Thompson kind of hopped on board, and after Tommy left the sport, and Jonathan's been a great help and a great advocate for us. He's really just not my sponsor. I consider him a friend. And it's I've certainly had help over the years. My partner Rich in RSTZ Transport has helped me out and to get to where I am and helped me out on getting the boat back and forth to the race sites and helping me out financially on sponsorships. And I mean, there's been a lot of people along the way. I hope I'm sure I forgot people, and I hate to do that, but there's been a lot of people that have helped me to get to where I am today. It's certainly not just me, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's wild you touch on that about the friendships you get in the sport, even if you had a sponsor. And I feel the same way. All the sponsors I've had, especially through the GP ranks, I still talk to them every couple weeks, every month. Like they're still a good friend. It's not like I was like, oh, thanks for your money, see you later. Like you because of the sport is a family run sport. I feel like we treat them differently than we would if we were in a different types of motorsport.
Yeah, I truly believe that as well. I mean, they're just, I mean, Jonathan comes down and hangs out, and even off season, we'll get together. He'll come down, or I'll swing by his place and go out to dinner, and just super guy. And I mean, John McDonald was like that as well. I've been out on his boat, and I mean, those were really my two big sponsors. And besides, my partner Rich in the business, I mean, I felt it was more than just a sponsorship for them as well. It was a friendship. And I mean, me and John talk every now and then today. I mean, it's, we've stayed friends over the years and didn't let the little things bother you, come between us. And I value that.
Exactly.
I think another
Boys, you got
cool
any?
point. Yeah, another cool point about the sport. Like, yeah, there is a little bit of a barrier to getting into it, but I think the resources once you do get into it. I mean, you show up to a first race, and you need help. It ain't going to be very hard to find. I mean, you can ask just about anybody, and you are going to get the help you need. And if they can't help you, they're going to refer you to somebody else. I know,
No,
obviously our family's been around, but Austin and I, even just asking questions to other drivers, that's a cool thing to have in the sport. And we talk about that family aspect all the time.
Oh, 100%. And then, and I'm not even just saying this because, you guys are I'm on your podcast, the Kennedys. I mean, your father has helped me out tremendously, Brandon. I mean, let it be with the 2.5 stock. He rigged it, did a ton of work for me. He rigged the Grand Prix, with Mike. I mean, if I ever need a hand, he's always available. A part, he's there. He's kind of been like he's like a new U part. I mean, those two guys have probably done more for this freaking sport of boat racing and to help other people out than anybody that I can think off the top of my head right now. I mean, they're always there to help somebody. They're always there to give a part. And I mean, your dad maybe more in the smaller classes back in the day, but I mean, let's face it. I mean, Huey is the godfather of Grand Prix boat racing, and probably always will be. And without him, a lot of guys probably wouldn't be racing Grand Prix. Yeah.
For sure.
And
Yeah,
I hope the fans see that. Oh, go ahead, Brent.
Go ahead.
I hope the fans kind of see that too. When, in Valleyfield, in the races where we are able to get fans over by the boats, like you walk through the pits at any point in time, especially in Grand Prix, and look up on a boat, you're going to see 2 to 3 different team shirts.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's not just going to be one team shirt. And it's like that all the time. You talked about the Luptons earlier. I don't think there was a race I went to this year where they were not working on somebody else's boat at some point.
No, I mean, listen, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I always carry spare parts and nuts and bolts and fittings. And I mean, there's always somebody up at the hauler and you're always willing to give somebody a part and let somebody use it. And I mean, I know it's the famous saying, right? You don't want to beat somebody on the trailer. You want to beat them on the water, but that goes for any class or anybody that comes to our hauler looking for a part. If I can help them out, and it's not just me, everybody in the pits are willing to do that. I mean, it's
especially Scott Cropfeld. He loves going to giving all your secrets away.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. Trust me.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah,
He's
it's good
gonna
old
look
Scott
good
for
in
you,
that.
no doubt.
He gonna look good in that cheetah print, running around the pits like
Yeah.
a kitty cat. He gonna look like
Mike,
Dino.
you should wear a leopard print suit to the gala if you're going.
Yeah, I mean, there is a quick story about that. That was like funny bathing suit day, by the way, in North Carolina. That's not my normal bathing suit attire, just FYI. You can thank my wife for that, just so you know.
Oh,
It was kind of a
That was great
surprise. I was
content.
like, what the heck is that?
That's great.
Not everything
I
should be
thought I looked pretty good.
photographed.
Just saying.
Well, good.
No, it's
well,
a
good.
great
Man,
look.
it
You
made a
wore it with
great t-shirt.
confidence.
Cobb Life's made more money off that than anything else he's made.
Probably.
So
Yeah,
let's get
no
back to
doubt.
some of the topics here. What has been the most rewarding moment in your career of hydroplane racing so far?
Well, we've won Valleyfield. Bert, Doug twice. We've won Valleyfield 3 times.
Don't forget about your son.
4 times. Sorry, 4 times. Watching my son win was probably the coolest thing in my race career, ever. It's a shame that feeling only lasts for such a short period of time. But that was the coolest moment. And I was on his radios, but I honestly didn't tell him to go to the inside, sneak in the inside. He did it on his own. So that was real impressive. And I mean, all my wins, all our, like Doug, I mean, I can't say enough about Doug Rapp. I mean, great guy, great driver, respected by probably everybody on the water. Never driven a boat before. And you guys kind of set up the boat for him, Bobby and Brandon, and he got into a rocket ship and did everything with it. And then, Patrick Hayworth and, drove the 5-liter for, a year and or 2, I forget what now. And Doug stepped in that and won. And I mean, Doug was Doug was a great racer, great racer.
Mhm.
He was one of the guys that wrenched on the boat during the week, and that was always our deal. And you work on that, you want to drive it, that's great. I'll pay for the deal, but you got to spend a night or 2 doing maintenance on it. And between him and Timmy Cofield, who has been with me probably since the start, maybe 2011. Tim and Doug worked unbelievably well together, and all those wins were all on them. I mean, those guys put the boats together and worked hard on it, and they're the reasons why that those boats were dominant and competitive. And I got to say, I miss Timmy. He hasn't been feeling well lately, and I miss him and I love him. And hopefully he'll be able to make some boat races this year. And I know you all know he won crew chief of the year years ago. And back in those days, I mean, nobody did more for me than Tim Cofield, and drove all over the country with me and drove to out west and helped me drive, took time off from work. And, I owe a big gratitude to him as well. And just, the bad influence family's thinking about you, Timmy. And just so you know that we all miss you and hope to see you back soon.
For sure. He was an awesome person on your crew. I once seen him change brake pads on your hauler in the middle of the race day. You had him working on everything.
Brake pads, tires, brake lines, bearings. I mean, Timmy was a jack of all trades, and couldn't have done it without him. And just super great guy, super great guy.
For sure.
That's, I mean, sorry, that was a long answer, but watching my kid win was the best. The best.
It's kind of wild, especially from a driver's perspective, that sometimes it's not even your wins that mean the most over your career. Like mine's obviously Carson winning Valleyfield. Like that tops all 10 of my wins of Valleyfield. It's kind of wild how you spend your whole life trying to get to an achievement, but it's someone else's achievement that goes above it. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And, obviously my biggest disappointment would have been, besides my dumbass boat flip, would have been, Valleyfield a couple of years ago. I felt like the stars were aligned and we had the equipment to do it. Just didn't happen at the end. And, the better boat won that day, I guess. Yeah, they beat us to the start finish line. So that probably my biggest disappointment. Really thought we were going back in this year and had a chance, and felt like we were quick, maybe not as fast as we wanted to be. think we found a few things out in San Diego. Might be going a little bit of a different direction this year in propeller gear combination. And you know, I mean,
We'll be
listen,
sure to get
I
the
go into every
details on the
weekend
next
wanting to win.
episode. We'll get the details on the next episode. When
No,
Scott
no, no, no,
Cropfeld
no, no,
joins
no.
us.
I mean, you go into every weekend wanting to win, right, Brandon? I mean, you always, your goal is to win the race, and if you finish on the podium, I mean, that's a plus too. But we feel like we have the team, the equipment to win. I mean, and the driver. I mean, feel like we have the whole package, and when we show up at a race, we expect to win every week. But just doesn't happen that way, unfortunately.
Sure.
You have to have that competitive drive. I mean, if you didn't have that competitiveness in you, where you wanted to show up and you wanted to win every weekend, then there's no reason to race. I mean, you got to have it.
Exactly.
It's got to burn inside of you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to travel 3,000 miles across the country, knowing that you don't have a chance to win. I mean, that would kind of not be fun.
Yeah,
Just
I
saying,
mean,
right.
and for boats who don't win, you have to keep trying, because well, they say for football, any given Sunday. I mean, that's the same thing for boat racing. I mean, you never know. You could finish dead last one weekend, hit a combination next weekend, go out and win. I mean, especially in the GP class, it's changing all the time. I mean, a few years ago, you'd have the hydro fish, and then us, and then Lupton's, and you guys won. There's multiple winners throughout the season, and you never know in GP class. It's definitely interesting.
So let's
no,
talk.
I mean, it's
ahead,
got to
Mike.
be bigger and better. I believe it's that there's 6, 7 guys, and I'm probably missing a couple that could win every weekend. I'm not just saying that. That's the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby King when he drives the 50. I mean, Ken Brody. I mean, I'm sorry, but that guy
He
hasn't
won
lost it.
Brockville.
I mean, that
He
guy.
won Brockville.
That
Fast.
you got darn right, and that guy gets in a boat and he's as competitive as everybody. He stepped up his game.
He's probably
Everybody
more.
has.
Did y'all see his Thanksgiving post or Amanda's Thanksgiving post? I think he's more physically fit than any of us GP drivers. So he's got a speed. I don't care what his age is. He did some like run
100%.
push-ups on Thanksgiving. I was like, nah, I'm drinking mimosas. Sorry.
I mean, Kenny's committed. I mean, he loves the class and loves the sport and wants to support. He's got a lot going on in his life right now with, running a big company, like GP50, and I mean, all the boats they got too. I mean, God, we all know that's a big project, but he's committed to the Grand Prix class, and he'll be out and he'll be racing this year. And I mean, listen, like you said, Brandon, before, there is no slouches. You can't look at a heat race and go, oh, I got this in the bag. It doesn't happen anymore. It just it don't happen. It just does not.
I think leading into that, it brings you down the course size. We've talked a lot about it on here for all classes of hydroplanes. Like, these courses need to be configured for the racing aspect, not who can go the fastest and who can set the records. I hate record talk, like Gunnersville a couple years ago when they did it and wanted to be the fastest water. Like, that just ruins the show for the fans and for us racers. Like, we want a chance. I love turn 2 of Valleyfield because I know I'm probably going to drive in there harder and maybe dump it than anybody else, but it gives me that chance if I'm running from behind. If it's a big wide turn, it doesn't. So I'd love to see GPA kind of step up to the plate and be like, okay, all of our races are going to be 1 mile or mile and a quarter, and we're going to have a big first turn and a small second turn, something different. That would be a step into the future, if you ask me, for the fans.
I mean, listen, I don't disagree with you. That's why Valleyfield is Valleyfield, right? I mean, it's not always lane 1 that gives you that advantage, right? It's lane 2, lane 3, lane 4 is probably the best lane to be there, as long as you're on your start, right? And it's certainly, a couple of years ago when Boharnwa did the separate race courses on separate days, that was really cool. I mean, I would love to see a mile on one day and a mile and a quarter on the next day, or a mile and 2/3. Hey, let's do it all 3 days. I mean, let's face it, some boats way more than others, and some boats, the West Coast boats were designed to race on a mile and 2/3. Though that's where those guys are at their fastest. And So being a Grand Prix guy, it's you want everybody to have a chance to win, right? So we kind of got to race some smaller ones, some medium ones. Mile and a quarter is kind of more in the middle, and mile and 2/3, you give some of the bigger, heavier boats a chance. And because those guys get wound up. I mean, the 17 was ahead of Jack Lupton in San Diego. That's saying something. And I know that boat is way heavier than 33. And Big Ed had that thing humming going down the straight, going down the back chute. So that's the one thing about the mile and 2/3. It makes it a little more even for those West Coast guys. I would love to see a big turn and a small turn. I think it slows the boat down on the inside a little bit, gives the guy on the outside a chance to catch up. I'm all for that, but a lot of times it's the promoter that decides that kind of stuff. I mean, we can suggest it, but the promoter and the race site guys, they have the final say.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something just to kind of show what race sites have done. Obviously, San Diego, you can tell it gets strung out every year. This year, you took the fastest boats in the country, and even that to watch from home, it got strung out. Where I feel like if you go to Detroit, is probably the best course, even above Valleyfield. When we had all the fast boats at Detroit that last year, it ran mile and a quarter course, big first turn, small second turn. That's the best racing I think I've ever seen in the Grand Prix class and all classes below
And
that.
then 350s too. Yeah.
That 350 heat, I remember, Bobby, you were driving for me that weekend. That final was unbelievable. There was not one slow boat in that final. The GPs were awesome. It's a shame that, Detroit couldn't hang on, because that was probably the best boat race. The finals were probably the best boat race I've ever seen.
For sure.
It was just, the racing was unbelievable. And you're right. I mean, maybe it's the race course. Hopefully we'll get to race back there one day. Who knows? You never know.
Not right now. It's too cold.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at my frozen lake.
So,
You're looking at the ocean.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, I think we're about done with questions for Mike. I think maybe we'll do one last one to wrap up after your rapid fire.
All right, these are your rapid fire questions. You answer them as fast as you can. All right, favorite boat that you owned?
GP79.
All right.
Which one?
Geez, you know what? God, that's tough, man. Yeah. You know what? I love my Grand Prix, but sorry, F79, favorite ever.
Right. Bud Light or Miller Light?
Oh, Miller Light.
favorite race? Favorite race site?
God, you're really gonna put me on the spot on that, dude?
Hey, we ask everyone.
And it's got to be fast. One site.
Valleyfield, Madison, Gunnersville, Tri-Cities.
Jesus
San Diego.
All right.
All
What's
right.
your favorite?
All right. If I have to pick one, it's Valleyfield. Not just because it's so many things, right? The race course, it's an event, the site, the people. Come on. You go into town. I don't care. You can go there in January and you go to Willie's Pub. People know you. Come on. You walk downtown, people know you. You walk from the pits to your camper, you have 50 people shaking your hand, giving you a high five. You don't even know who these people are, but guess what? They know you. Nobody lives and breathes boat racing like Valleyfield. So I got to give it to them. So sorry,
right.
that was a long answer, but Valleyfield.
Cut the rapid fire out of the thing. Okay. What's your favorite class?
Class?
Yeah. What's your favorite
Grand
class?
Prix.
All right.
God, I hate to keep saying Grand Prix because you guys are all think I'm biased.
What's your favorite win as an owner?
Go back to my kid winning Valleyfield.
All right.
Every one of my Valleyfield wins.
What's your favorite race that you won as a driver?
Favorite race that I won? Only won two: Greenwood Lake and Shawinigan.
Okay,
So,
which one?
Shawinigan. There wasn't anybody at Greenwood Lake. There was more people in Shawinigan than Shawinigan.
All right.
Monahan.
Steak or chicken?
And beat Monahan. That was definitely.
Yeah, there you go. There you
No
go.
doubt.
There you go. Steak or chicken?
Steak.
Who's your biggest fan?
Oh,
You better
know
be
what?
careful with this one.
dude, my wife hates boat racing. Are you kidding me right now? My biggest fan, I gotta say, my father and my sister.
There you go.
I truly believe that. My father and my sister.
All right. Would you rather go on a booze cruise or watch your GP run while you're standing on the shoreline?
Oh,
I know you do a lot of booze cruising.
Does he get to drink while he's
still
standing on the
today,
shoreline?
the fire still burns for watching my boat go around the race course.
All right. What's your favorite trophy that you won?
God, I hate to keep saying Tri-Cities.
Tri-Cities.
A little
Okay.
bit.
All right. And then last
What
but
a
least,
political person.
I think we already know this. We already know this one, but what's your best memory of racing?
Damn, Bobby asked the same question 5 times.
No, it's not.
You're getting the same answer.
Favorite?
Well, yeah, he's the same answer kind of guy.
I know,
Kinda like
right?
Steve Davis.
All right, so we already know it's your son winning
God,
Valley
there's so
Field.
many of them, Bobby. I mean,
Yeah.
you getting in a fight with Marco Prairie. I mean, there's so many of them. No.
I mean, that might be one of few times that I made someone pack up and leave a race early. from getting beat.
I mean, that was pretty cool winning the Worlds. I will say that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I mean, you
You know,
guys did some bumper boats, but
the funny thing is, you're like, before I went out there, you're like, well, just don't scratch the boat. And I'm like, I can't promise anything. And I did not hit anyone. I sat there, I parked, and then next thing you know, I get hit from the inside, hit from the outside, and I look in the rearview mirror, and Dutch is going over the back of me. I'm like, what in the is going on here? But I don't know what everyone did at the start. We nailed the start, we were gone. So, but then we get back to the pits, and then Marco packs up and leaves. He wasn't happy.
It was Marco was a good competitor. I think he felt that he had the boat to beat that weekend. But fighting for lanes, Bobby. There ain't very many that are better than you and Jeff Bernard, and that's a big advantage when you got even boat and you get lane one. And I mean, you two guys are probably the best in the business at getting lane one. So
it's fighting for lanes is definitely fun. I can tell you that. But
it ain't when you're an owner. Just saying.
Even I give you crap on how much you talk on the radio, but it was always fun driving for you. That's for sure.
Thanks. I enjoyed having you, Bobby. You're a great driver. I mean, Brandon, obviously, you are the king of Grand Prix right now, and you've matured quite a bit. And Kyle and Austin, I've watched you both, and I've watched both of the races this year. I mean, you guys have both improved. Kyle tremendously, and you two as well, Austin. And the more you drive, the better you guys are getting. The Kennedy clan's always hard to beat. It's not just it's not just been you boys. I mean, your mom, Bobby, and your aunt, and then you guys, and she was a great racer in her day, and the whole Kennedy family has been certainly a staple in boat racing forever. And I never knew your grandfather or your great grandfather as drivers, but obviously George was one of the best in the business too, and you guys are certainly continuing the legacy. That's for sure.
Trying,
Yeah.
we're trying.
We'll try to keep it.
We
going.
definitely try. As long as we can.
So to wrap this up with you, Mike, what your feeling on this coming year from a GPA perspective and Grand Prix perspective? What do you feel like is going to be the most important to achieve this year, race site wise, social media wise, all the above? What do you think is most important?
I mean, you guys have certainly started it, with the social media, finally getting our videos out there. And I mean, I'm sorry, listen, watching my boat get all those views was pretty darn cool. All right. On that time trial, but watching you and Jeff drive in that video, to me, as a race boat fan, was 10 times better.
No.
So the more that we can see those videos, and the more people that come, that will get to know our sport, the better. I think we're going in the right direction. We're getting new Grand Prix owners. I mean, let's face it, that hasn't been here in a while. Guys are excited about it. The owners are excited. We just really need to all race together on sites and support the sites that are willing to support Grand Prix and hopefully if Seattle comes on board, obviously we know they have live TV. I mean, when's the last time we've raced on live TV? Grand Prix, that is. Been a long time. Probably Valleyfield, maybe back years and years and years ago. So, I mean, that's kind of where I see it going. The Grand Prix Challenge, we got some work to do with negotiating with Valleyfield and hoping. I mean, Madison is on board. I've talked to Kyle, Katie, and the Nortons are on board. They love it. They love the idea. Obviously, the more boats, the better. And we'll see what happens if we add a West Coast race in the deal or not. We got to look what really is what's best for the class. If we choose to go that route or not, but we certainly need Valleyfield involved. It's one of the biggest races on the East Coast, and they bring the fans, and everybody wants to win there. So we'll I think it looks really good. And again, I think Grand Prix's never been in a better spot. We've had commitments from, like I said, Roger Mahan to field 2 boats next year, and Brian's already done that, and that's pretty cool to do. The Luptons have been doing it, and you never know. Hey, Warwick could get back in a boat and make them 3 this year. So. I think Grand Prix here in North America is looking pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think so as a whole. And like I touched on earlier in the show, that just all the organizations from H1, GPA, HRL, APPA, and board, everyone working together. I feel like it's been a constant growth. I mean, there's nothing better than having all these. We're 100. I think me and Corey Peabody talked about it the other day. Out of all of race boats in North America, there's probably like 140. Why are we working against each other? Like we're
Right.
so small compared to other motorsports.
100%. I mean, let's face it. I mean, ACHA, HRL, call it whatever you want. They got the ball rolling, and they're a big part of this sport. And big thanks to them and Daryl Strong and H1. Seems like they've kind of taken the torch and kind of leading the way now. And I feel like the more we partner up with them on race sites, I feel like we add to their show, and I feel the race sites feel the same way. And I think with Daryl Strong leading H1, and I truly believe that the future is great for Grand Prix boat racing, and they want us, and they love having us there. And I mean that's part of the battle, right? You want people to have you there, and we got great owners, and we just got to stop fighting against each other and all hop on board and all row in the same direction and go race against each other. And I feel like we're on that path.
Exactly.
I agree.
Austin, you got any closing thoughts?
No, I think he said it best. The GPs in the last year or couple years have really stepped it up, and I think it's only positive from here. More fans, more exposure. We'll get it fully revamped to what we want it to be.
Definitely. Well, Mike, we definitely appreciate having you out. First off, Bobby, you got anything for us?
Yeah, Mike, you wanna do a little sponsorship for 2.5 stock next year with RSTZ?
We're talking.
I thought they would pitch it, but they're just sitting there quiet.
Him and Kyle Bipes already signed up to buy the rental boat together, and we're gonna run a rental boat with a Honda.
Hey, listen, there was one that was on the boat racing for sale yesterday. Pretty darn reasonable, especially with the U.S. dollar right now is at $1.44. I thought that was pretty reasonable. I almost picked up the phone and made a phone call.
It's not a boat.
No, it's only the equipment. The boat's
that's
just
the engine.
It tricked me.
No, but the boat, it's an HRL boat, but I mean, that's pretty darn reasonable. You want to talk about reasonable, get into the sport. Right. Wow. I mean, it don't get more reasonable than that.
No.
Yeah, that is a good point. Go run HRL.
Not sure what boat. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what boat that is, but my God, I mean, that's pretty if somebody hasn't already scooped that up, that's a pretty inexpensive way to get in the sport and go boat racing.
That was the one Derek Anderson ran this year. And there were times this year where that thing was running really nice.
Well, you all know it's it's all about boat setup and engine program and propellers. And as you guys are finding that out, the more you work at it, the faster it gets. Data, data, data is the name of the game. If you don't have a race back, you're going backwards. You got to
Yep.
figure all that stuff out.
That's for sure.
No doubt. No doubt.
Sure.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. I know I talk a lot, but I'm passionate about the sport, and I love boat racing. I love hydroplane racing, and I'll always be involved one way or the other. And thanks for having me. And thanks. Sorry I talked a lot about Grand Prix, but it's where I'm at right now, and I feel like I'm one of the forward guys that are forward thinking and trying to drive it in the right direction.
Well, thanks for everything that you do for the sport.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
And everyone
All right,
loves
thanks,
Grand
guys.
Prix.
Yeah, exactly. It's a trickle down
Well-
effect from Grand Prix down.
Exactly.
I love them all, but right now it's what I got.
Hey.
You never know, honey. Maybe we'll buy another one, right, Julie? I'm sure she's listening right now.
All right, that Eddie came on right before you get off. That boat Vincent Labarge posted is Casey Browning's, or originally Browning's S15. So I guess that would probably be TJ's. And then Fred Courtier had it. So that was Fred's boat, and then went to them.
Was that carbon? That was probably all carbon fiber, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Probably, yeah. I would assume like an 06.
I think Fred won Valleyfield in that
Still a
boat,
good
if I'm
spot.
not mistaken.
Yes.
Well, actually, I don't
He
know if
did.
that was all carbon fiber. I know both Browning T boats from Burt were all carbon fiber. I'm 90% sure. I don't know about the 2.5, which I think the K2.5 only came out and TJ ran it a little bit, and that was it. And then it's sold.
Gotcha.
So are we going to have any breaking news today? I just got to say this before I leave. Any breaking news today on Chasin Tails about maybe the opportunity for one of the Kennedy boys to take over the 40 seat? I mean, it's kind of a fun announcement today. I'm waiting to hear from one of you guys.
I thought you'd
What's
tell us
going
that.
on?
I thought you'd tell us that Jeff was going to be running the U40.
No, I hope not. I want him in the 79, but I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, well, our phones are open, but they ain't ringing apparently. Must not have our number.
They haven't made a decision on a driver yet. That's all I know.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, you guys would be on the top of anybody's list. If anybody knows anything about boat racing, I mean, you two boys should be certainly on the top of anybody's list.
I appreciate it.
They definitely want to get us each in one and then see how it's really done.
Yeah.
You guys together? Oh, that would never be a good thing.
There'd be no team games. No team games here.
No.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for having me, and hope I didn't bore anybody too much, but I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak on the behalf of GP. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
it. Have a good
Thanks for
one.
coming,
Go
bud.
Moms.
Enjoy the Dominican.
Or the Dominican.
I'm trying.
All right. So,
We still live?
yeah, we're still
Yeah.
live. I was gonna say we could just ramble for a bit. I don't know if there's anything going on. You want to go in the other room and get an update on this IRC call that your mom's on?
Dude, I would sneak if I was there. I would sneak in there.
Oh, give me that Zoom link. I'll patch it in right here.
Dude, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just talking. Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, a little side note. Eddie Canfers just sent me a picture of the same flag.
Nice, he's got one.
Yeah.
I like how Billy Noonan, we must have been talking about our family. He says, as a referee, I had to fight the whole family. It's the most accurate thing I've ever heard in my life.
We'll see if she takes it.
Which race? I definitely know Rocky Ford. There had to be more though.
More than that.
Cambridge. I don't know if it would have been that one, but
The best
No.
ones were when you were driving for Donnie Thompson. That was fun. What was the shirt? What is they? Who the F is Ray Dong? There was some epic times, man. You get heated, but we're all friends and family at the end of the day.
Yep. So yeah, not really any news out there in the boat racing world. I would like to
Obviously,
touch on.
unlimited news. That's about it. You got U40 seat opening up. Madison Racing. Who knows what they're doing? I hear Graham Trucking has an opening. Like,
I got some breaking news. Kyle Bipes was in the office today.
Yeah, wow. Just for the
Got him.
picture.
Damn.
Got him.
Hey, just for the picture.
Oh, I did have some breaking news. Look at me. I'm failing my job. Hold on. I'll get it up here in a minute.
I do know there is a lot of boats for sale right now. You have a couple 2.5 mods. You have some Grand Prix for sale. Good 2.5 mods. Good Grand Prix.
Couple 2.5 stocks.
Couple 2.5 stocks for sale. So if anyone's looking to get into boat racing, actually, and a couple 350s also. So if anyone wants to get into boat racing, we can line you up with a boat in probably each class. Just reach out to us and we'll try to help you out, get you started, point you in the right direction, who to talk to, who to get engines from, all that good stuff. I mean, because it always helps when someone not holds your hand when you get in, but guides you a little bit in the right direction. Because a lot of people can get in the sport and get turned around, get frustrated, and just give up, and then put their boat up for sale. And we don't want to see that. We want people to get in the sport and stay in the sport for a long time. So anyone who's looking, please reach out to us and we'll give you a hand and get it going.
Yeah, you got what? Eric Christensen's GP for sale. Good price on that.
Yep.
The Geezer boat's for sale. That's
2.5
a really
mod.
good price for a 2.5 mod. With a good
Wilson's
motor,
and
good boat.
Dobus's 2.5s stocks.
Yep. They're good prices for sale.
I got some other breaking news. We are down to one Hayes / Kennedy. Well, not yet, but it's going to be that hasn't driven a boat. It's going to be Sarah. It's going to be the only one left.
Oh,
Dave is going to the driving school.
well, technically,
Nice.
he tested a unlimited. Not unlimited outboard last year.
A what?
Last summer,
Yeah.
an outboard, a kneel down.
Yeah. That, no offense.
Or
That doesn't
two years ago, actually.
Dude, he was sore
That
for 2
don't
days
count.
after that shit too. That was
Yeah,
funny.
it was.
Yeah,
Dog
put
couldn't
his seat in
stand
that
up.
thing.
Yeah, I
but
can't.
that's-
I can't wait. The best part is he's got to sit through the class. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Just
He better not get no questions wrong.
Right.
I'm
bringing
gonna tell Tony. I'm gonna tell Tony the only way he's allowed to do the driving part is if he gets 100% on the test.
We're sitting there with the radios the whole time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of boats for sale, so just reach out to us. We'll
Yeah.
get it going. Yeah, I don't know. So it's definitely getting spicy in the unlimiteds. The Madison boat sold. Both boats went to Apollo. From what we hear, someone said that Andrew's going with the boat. Well, we definitely know that Dave Villawalk's going with the boat because Charlie Wiggins said that, and Dave Villawalk was driving Charlie Wiggins at the time. So, does Andrew stay with that team and drive one of those boats, and Villawalk drives one of those boats, or does Tate leave and then maybe drive the 40, or who gets the 40 ride? Who knows?
Quite honestly, I'd love to see Tate in the 40. I think they got the fastest boat, and I know Dustin did a great job.
yeah.
And was a great help to that team. But
Yeah.
whether it was Dustin or the team orders to not be aggressive to get lane one, I think that just kind of hurt them. Trying to run around the outside with the fastest boat's hard in any class, but
Yeah.
unlimited, it's near impossible. So, I mean, if Andrew got in that thing, I mean, I think it'd be pretty unique and then open up the door to that other one.
I mean, you said getting around on the outside is damn near impossible on that thing, and he did it last year, I believe, in Seattle.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
In the one heat, that thing was cruising.
So boat's fast.
But then Graham Trucking Grendel just said is opening up. That Bobby King's not driving that, so then they'll be needing a driver. Maybe Jeff Bernard will jump in that thing. He drove it before.
I think they said he was planning on doing a little more racing this year, right?
Oh,
I think so. I think they're pushing. I mean, Daryl Strong being behind it all is pushing it to get everyone out east. Obviously, not going to have the back-to-back races this year. I don't know if that changes people's mentality on East Coast racing, but I know he's pushing. I've heard rumors of maybe Bardish's boat going west to someone, and then Bert getting back in it for a different owner. I mean, it's silly season, like complete silly season this year.
Yeah.
Well, I know Bardish plans on coming out because Bert's been working on the unlimited. So
it's awesome.
There you go.
That'd be
So
cool.
I mean, if they have a
Boats on
resurgence and get up
water.
to 6-7 boats, I mean, the series is growing again. Again, obviously,
Bardish has
everything's-
2, doesn't he?
He's got like 5.
Oh.
Bardish
got
has a
two-
lot of unlimiteds.
He's got 3 that could be fairly
I'm sure
competitive.
we're about to have Eddie queue up in the chat and tell us how many unlimiteds Bardish has.
The ones they are.
All
Let's
right,
just
let me
say he
get
has
these
a few.
pictures up.
I mean,
So we did have a boat that sold. I got some breaking news. Charlie Wiggins GP sold. It's going to Australia. To this guy. Let's see. Matt Ferris of Australia bought Wiggins GP. Ferris
the
drove
Shazam.
the KT boat Tattoo. He won the 2005 Griffith Cup. He also owns the former Shazam Nitro Crush, and then 7-liter Hall owns Math Magic and the former Thunder Pumper. This dude's got a lot of boats. I mean,
Damn.
do they all run? Has the 2-wing Jones Spellbound, that one that crashed. That's a cool boat. I've seen that one. But here's some pictures of the boats he's got. Obviously, this was when they were in Canada.
That's a cool looking boat. Cool looking boat.
Yeah, it is cool.
I don't know what that thing is.
A scary looking boat.
That thing is ugly.
Oh, that was for a different episode, and I never used that one.
We just saw that the other day in Becky's basement.
Oh wow.
Oh, I seen Rob Becky at Top Golf
Yeah,
Meeting?
Saturday. Yeah.
yeah. I know.
How's your toilet installing going?
Fucking fantastic.
Up here we go, Eddie. U2, U7, U10, U13, U22, and U57. Which one's
I
the
lost
10?
count.
1,
I don't
2,
fucking know.
3, 6, and a ton of vintage boats. I had to read it the way.
Bob, how many licorice pieces have you eaten? I don't think you stopped since we started this freaking episode.
Dude,
That's
I had-
ridiculous. Was that full?
No,
no,
that's like 5
pounds.
pounds.
Well, I got like 1 pound left.
Just pulled the brick out.
You're
I got
embarrassing.
bricks.
Since we've
You
been
wish.
the high topic on our podcast, the Honda proposal. Obviously, it's to the IRC level. There's back and forth and confusion, and you don't want to get me started on that because I'm about fired up with these people.
Fired up.
But now, if you're a 2.5 stock owner, guess what? You're getting another survey, and it's going to be an official one this time. You know, half of you probably
Official.
won't get it, half of you probably won't respond because I know how hard we work to get that dang survey out.
It's official.
But it'll be official this time, and I guarantee it'll be over 50%. And then we'll see where the rule goes in a couple
all because the
weeks.
one IRC guy wants some wording changed around, and
Yeah, this is what I don't get. I mean, and obviously I've never, we'll get it thrown back on it. Well, you should just run for the IRC. I'd rather not. I'd rather change other places. But biggest thing is why can't they help? I feel like they shoot rules down. Like I can name a bunch of these rules that I've seen that they're just going to be like, oh, they misspelled a word. We're going to throw it out. Like, why can't they say, all right, that's our job we're going to improvise. And we know how it should be wrote because we've been on the IRC for 20 years. Let's fix up some of the wording. Not that I'm saying any of our wording in the Honda rule proposal has been wrong most of the time. I feel like a lot of people haven't seen the actual rule wrote up. We did write up a rule with every spec in the engine to where you can build it yourself, and they just don't open that document, I guess.
the problem with the IRC, there's too many people. Jeff Bezos had starting out his company, he had a pizza roll. I like the pizza roll. Pizza rolls, if you buy a pizza and you can't feed everyone with that pizza, there's way too many people trying to make something work.
Dude, that might be the smartest thing you've ever said in your
You
life.
cannot
Yeah, honestly, I'm shocked.
you
You read
cannot
that on a
feed
toilet
the
wall?
whole IRC with one pizza. You would need like 3 pizzas.
Where the hell did you learn this? I'm curious.
Jeff Bezos.
But where? Where
What do
did
you just
you,
watch?
where
Do you
did you
just
read
listen to his podcast or something?
TikTok.
Dude, I read the most random crap you can find. I mean,
All right, fair enough.
it? So now we know where he read it. He's sitting on the John at the Taco Bell, and it was written on the wall.
but yeah, there's way too many people. There's way too many people who are influenced by other things. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Maybe a different time, different place, but
Yeah, we don't need to shoot.
I've been on
ourselves
the
in foot
IRC
yet.
before, and it is not fun. It doesn't feel like you get anything accomplished.
Well, and think of the people that run it. Like, I mean, Timmy being the IRC chairman, and obviously Bob Wilson Pass, and all these people in the past. You're set at that top of the chain to try to make change. You've been in the sport for a long time. You have ideals, and you can't even put your own ideals in place because unless you get the nucleus of people to vote with you,
Yeah.
you're just constantly running in circles. And I feel like we've missed that since I've heard stories of Tony Scartine back in the day that was like, yo, this is how we're doing it, and we're going to do it. We're going to see if it works. And I've heard that was the best days. I don't know. I wasn't there, but
Well,
I-
boat racing has been declining ever since. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's just inboard. I mean, boat racing has been declining everywhere, just not inboard. But there's a reason why it's so hard to evolve, and when you can't get something through or really good ideas through, it's not allowing you to evolve. And it starts with the people who make the rule decisions and rule passing and denying. I mean, it starts with the IRC.
Right.
They need to
And just-
they need to shrink that up to about 4 people. 4.
Yep. East, West, Midwest, and South.
Two.
Texas.
I just say 2 people from
Trials.
the West Coast. Texas trial.
They are APBA.
2 people from the East Coast. 2 people from the West Coast. I mean, and then everyone comes together and they hash it out and they see what's better for the sport. I mean, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. I mean, you put too many people around the
Another
freaking
bathroom
table,
wall.
nothing is ever going to get done.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Well, and I mean, just think about it from obviously we have this platform and a lot of people watch us and listen to us. Thank you for watching and listening to us. But we've talked so much about that Honda. What other rule proposals are out there? I know for a fact there's one for a 350, an LS motor proposal that
Yep.
hasn't got talked
Haven't
about,
heard.
hasn't had this platform. The IRC hasn't probably communicated.
If
to
there's
their
a
members, like,
if there's a 350 owner, has there been a survey sent out for this LS motor for the 350 owners? If any owners in the chat, let
I'm
us know.
guessing
yeah, I mean,
it's not
see
an
what they
owner,
say.
but I bet Jamie will be on here in a second to tell us.
Ray told me don't touch the 350s. He ain't got many years left. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I swear, and I wish I had my emails went back that long. I don't remember ever getting a survey about the Duratec or the 350 or the S-Slinger head. Like, we tried to just do something to make sure the members knew what was going on, and then they got to do another one, and I'm like, what's going on here? But I know what the results are going to be. They're going to stay the same, so I'm not going to argue the point of if that has to appease you, and that's the way our rules. It's crazy that it's a written rule. There's a rule in the rule book that says the IRC or inboard must send the survey out. Like, why? Like, do you
Has
think
there
the
been?
survey's
But
been
you
skewed?
never.
I'm
I mean,
surprised
when
it
they
doesn't say we got to send it by mail.
when they
Yeah,
did
right.
when they did the 350 survey, only 1/3, not even 1/3 of the class responded, and they still passed the 350. We have over what 90% or 80%,
82,
80% of owners in favor, and they want to send out a survey.
Yeah.
Uh,
13 boats are going to run it no matter what out of 25.
So you're already splitting the biggest class in APBA up if you don't pass it. And then you're growing the 2.5 mod class because they'll be forced to run 2.5 mod because they can't run experimental. Reason is they already ran experimental for 2 years. It's in the rule book. You can only run experimental for 2 years. No ifs, and or buts about it. So
I'm confident they're going to make the right decision. It's going to get passed. Look, Austin.
Doesn't take long. There's a West Coast boat that ran the LS for a couple years. I believe the team put the proposal in for it. Jamie.
yeah,
He was
ask
on
him.
Oh, yeah.
Was there a survey sent out about it? That's what I want to know.
Uh,
The rule proposal is
We'll see
in.
if they
I've seen
respond.
it. I read the rule proposals. Other random
We'll see.
things I read too.
probably on the bathroom wall.
Well, and it's we have no, and that's the problem. And I know there's a couple IRC members and other people in the membership community that have been like, oh, well, the HRL tails wagging the APBA dog. Well, APBA doesn't have a concept like anything in place to develop a motor. Like if we did, if APBA Inboard would invest the money, I don't care if it's a Honda or not going forward, or a 350 or not, or something in a skiff. Obviously, there's lots of our engines that need changed to the future, but they don't put the money in. HRL put $30,000 to $50,000 of their own money into
Yeah.
this Honda. Of course, they were going to make it work.
APBA, what they want is a competitive boat to run the experimental engine, travel the country, get 0 points, which a lot of times 0 points, zero tow money, zero prize money, zero trophies.
Zero
And then come back to
finals.
them with data, and then so they can pick it apart. And when you put in the rule proposal, they're gonna be like, well, what about this and this and that? It's a big headache. There's no incentives in trying to do a engine rule proposal with being an owner or driver. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
like I said,
it's
I
no
go
fun.
I go back to the Duratec that I sat in Willard Wilson's office because he was here in Delaware and discussed it. And he ran it in his boat for a year. And they shot it down because he's Willard Wilson. He's hiding something. He's going to come out and dominate the class because he's Willard Wilson and he dominated back with the 145s. It's like, no, he is really trying to help you. Like,
Yeah.
it was frustrating to be on the inside and then be in those conversations. Then a couple years later, it just got passed, and by that time we went to the head, so it's too slow anyway. But it is what it is. Hopefully, we make some change, and if we make it this time and everything goes, who knows? We might develop another motor in Chasin Tails. Might have a series. We might do a lot. We ain't
That'd be cool.
stopping.
Get
We
a mass
have,
for 1.5 stock.
you know,
Bam.
we have power. We think. And if we think we have power, we have power.
You have power.
The Honda you can run.
Once.
The Honda you can run 1 liter stock, 2.5 stock, 2.5 mod. And then the great thing is, because they're set up with gearboxes, 1 liter mods can jump over to the 2.5 stock class, because all around the country, the 1 liter mod class is pretty much dead. You go to a race, there might be 2 or 3, sometimes 1. And then
There's about 5 in the country.
And if you
6.
don't have a Jim Scheckler engine, you don't stand a chance even finishing half a lap behind these guys. So if you don't have a Jim Scheckler engine, guys, and this Honda passes,
Welcome.
welcome to 2.5 stock. Put a Honda in it and come and be competitive, because that's what the Honda will do. It will allow a back running boat be competitive. Now, like Brandon has said, the cream will always rise to the top. I mean, you're always going to have those really good teams who are just a notch faster, but the Honda is going to take that gap like this and bring it to like this to where you're more competitive. So it's going to be pretty freaking exciting if it passes.
Yeah. You think about it. We're at a time in the sport where essentially we all have cookie cutter boats. We don't have cookie cutter propellers and balance and all that, but they're damn similar boats. Kind of like back in the day, like Steve David talked on this podcast about the Staudackers when the 7 liter class was huge. They were all the same boat, pretty much same engine package. And then someone got in there and decided we needed bigger engines and destroyed it all. But we have the core package. We just gotta kind of tighten it up a bit.
Agreed. Yeah, it will be curious. Like, obviously, we got to wait and see what happens with the proposal. But just assuming it passes, I'm really curious to see how it goes this year, because I got super high hopes, especially hearing about all these guys that are going to run it one way or the other. Like, I think like, even if it does pass, there's still going to be doubts. Like, people are still going to doubt and wonder and see what happens. And I'm really confident and really excited to see the proof in the pudding. Right.
You know what? When you're running next to a Ford, say if you're running a Honda and a Ford, you guys running a Ford, you guys go out there and you both blow up your engines. You can sit there on your phone being towed back, order all the parts you need, have delivered at your house before you even get home. And that Ford guy, if he has a block that's cracked, he's got to go to a junkyard. You don't have to do that with this Honda. You can just jump online and find everything and then get it shipped to your house. That's the beauty about the Honda. I mean, the availability of parts, and it's not a carbureted dinosaur.
I can't wait till it passes so Chasin Tails can be everything but a Honda. we're on to a next class. I don't know which one we're picking on. Probably, you know what's coming next? National Mod G&H combination, new motor package. Throw your shit away and run one motor.
Well, well, that was they should have did that 20 years ago.
Yeah,
There would still be a class.
When G&H was like, no, we can't have small blocks race with us. They're beating us, so this has to be a big block class. Yeah, that's when somebody should have stepped in and be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And have you
I-
seen more than 3 GNHs at a race site this year?
No.
Nope.
Yeah,
No.
Valley at Pro Hydros.
Pro Hydros because HRL's dumping money into that versus the GPs.
Yeah. So there is a other rule proposal. I should have talked to Mike while he was on here, but GP weight rule proposal we put in obviously because the West Coast boats are a little heavier. HRL is already 3250, so we put in the kind of keep it at 3250 where it's 2700 in APBA now. Just trying to bridge the gap. There's no reason. All of us in the brand new Henderson, we have weight put in it to run HRL. We never took it out to run GPA, so it's kind of like we're trying to make this competition a little closer. Let's keep that weight a little closer. And HRL did it when they upped the weight. They went around and weighed all 12 boats and came up to an average of what their boats were. So hopefully they pass that one. I think that's a good one for the class. I'm going to guess they're not going to pass it because people have better opinions than the class. Maybe there should be a class survey for that one too.
Yeah.
Why not?
I do know there's a proposal for some sort of cam for the 2.5 for
Oh,
the
yeah.
2300.
Roller.
Yeah.
Like a roller rocker. I feel like that one's been put in almost every year.
Yeah.
Some of
I'm
those
pretty
rollers.
sure by the same dude. And I don't know. A modify to
Well,
that,
I
right?
mean, parts would be available, right? That's the great thing. But at the same time, that's trying to allow a dinosaur to stay alive.
Modify till you die. That's all they're trying to do.
If you want to run like
When I think that was in that, never saw a survey. Ronnie got it. I think that was in the IRC survey. Was gonna say like, look, if we adopt this Honda rule, then the Ford gets no more changes. Like you're gonna be able to run it. You're gonna be fairly competitive, but we're not gonna be able to put in a rule next year for bigger cam to be more competitive with the Ford. This is it.
I
think that's smart.
That's why they wanted it to go back out, because our survey that we sent out, because we don't wait for IRC or APBA. We don't want to move at a snail's pace, so we try to speed things up. But because our rule proposal had 0 things about the Ford in it, we're not saying eliminate the Ford. We have nothing against the Ford. We want the Ford to run. We want the Hondas to run. Want them to run together. It's the IRC who is putting that into the survey that they do not want to. If they pass the Honda, they don't want to keep putting more stuff in for the Ford. So don't turn around and be mad at us, because that's the IRC's doing, not our doing. We are strictly just trying to get the Honda passed. We had nothing in there about the Ford.
No, I don't necessarily disagree with it though.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree with
I
it
don't
either.
disagree.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're trying to look into the future and
I
not
mean, if
stop
that's
and
the
look in the
case,
past.
because if that's the case, if Ford guys want to keep, putting in rule proposals for the Ford, then what about the 2000 that the when the Ford came in pretty much eliminated? There is one guy who still runs the 2000, which
Let's turbo them.
but yeah, and then I mean, you got to take a step forward in the time, and I think this is the time that we do it. I mean, is it the right engine for the next 40 years? No, obviously not. The APBA has held on to the Ford way too long, but this is the engine for the next 10 years, 10 at least 10 to 15 years. And then, let's start. Oh, we always got to be looking at something different to evolve. You can't just say, oh, this is good, and then put it back and never change it. You always got to be changing. I mean, just like your driving style. You keep driving the same way, people are going to catch on and learn how to beat you. You got to keep evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another one's a rule proposal. Again, another one that comes in every year, um, is for the establishment pin to go back to the 1 minute pin, instead of trying to race from one point to another and then having crashes in the corner. But I know for a fact the IRC ain't gonna pass that one because there's too
No.
many people that think fighting for lanes is the greatest thing in the world, and that's the action before the race. And I just nowadays 350, you can accelerate from the 1 minute pin to the X spin. You're never going to get leapfrogged. And if you
No.
do, it's with less than 4. Same with 2.5.
So I was thinking about this rule, and this brought me to unlimiteds. Thinking about the unlimiteds, where oh, they have to leave the dock at a certain time, get on here, blah blah blah. Those guys are still lost fighting for lanes. I can tell you that. But if you do move, you have your 1 minute pin, but you have established your lane at the exit pin of turn 2 with unlimiteds, that would 100% give the outside boats some advantage because they can get a really good run. Those inside boats, they're going to still be trying to leapfrog each other and getting up there super early. So if you're in H1 and you guys, you want to mix it up and you guys are sick of those couple boats getting the inside all the time, establish your lane at the exit pin. Have that 1 minute pin at the exit of turn 1, and then or halfway down the backstretch. But establish your lane at the exit pin. I guarantee you, 50% of the time that an outside boat will get rolling and get around and win heats.
Why not leave it as the time in the pin at the same spot? Why have a time to where you're stopped and then you're trying to take off and then getting cut off in the middle?
Because if you because if you have it say halfway down the backstretch, I mean they already had this whole issue where there was you would just get up there. You could, without the 80 mile an hour rule, you can get up there, park, and then just troll. And then once you hit the 1 minute or whatever, 45 second, then you would start going and you have the inside. Relax. You can sit there and go hit your timing mark. But if you're fighting for lanes through that turn with the limiteds and all, you're pushing each other all the way up to that turn, right? Because you don't want to get leapfrogged. And you get up there, these two boats fighting for lanes are going to get up there early. But this guy on the outside, lane 3 or lane 4, is going to get a nice big sweeping run through that corner all the way to the start and be 40, 50 miles an hour faster than the two inside guys.
Yeah. So would you would have a time at the exit pin of turn 1 that you can't go past, and then
Can't go past
the establishment pin. So kind of like we do now, but instead of the middle of the backstretch.
Yeah, they would try to hit that like a start, and they would race all the way down to turn 2 because they don't want to get leapfrogged.
I'm not mistaken. That's exactly how they run it in the Hydroplane League.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's exactly how they run it.
Yeah, but
I mean, that would stop your parking, because if you did it just to if you just did it like say no time, you establish your lane at the exit pin, everybody's just going to run up there and park.
Yeah,
and you're still going to have people flying around you. It's going to be a disadvantage to park, but
yeah, but you have that. You're going to have that fighting for lanes. You're going to have someone pushing you up there, and then you might back off before the first turn, but I mean the second turn and slow down to hit your timing mark for the start. But when the competitive nature gets in, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to have guys go all the way up to that commitment buoy to establish your lane. So I don't know, but going to Grand Prix, the best thing for Grand Prix is the sign lanes. I mean, you can't do fighting for lanes. We'd be running over each other left and right if we did fighting for lanes, just because how fast the GPs accelerate. These unlimiteds don't accelerate.
Right.
And Jamie said to leave the National Mod engine alone. They have a 30-year-old engine still running.
Oh. Well,
man, you blew it up in Decatur. I don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
You broke a crank. Like, come on now.
What has Andrew not broken that team?
I tell you what. pizza
That's
roll.
it. Engine is not a driver's problem. So
Nope. Nope. If the engine can't withhold the driver's foot, then the engine was not built properly.
exactly. Same thing I say about sponsors.
Right. Yeah, I'll deny that. There's an extra frame there now.
Damn.
All right. What
Yeah.
else? Was there anything
What-
else? I don't think there was any other rules in there that was like pressing. It's pretty easy here, I think, on that. And I know this is top secret information that we have. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
What the rule
No, I think that
proposals?
was-
There was just some like cleanup rules, some tech rules for the skiffs. They need a new motor too, but
Rule proposals should be 100% public as soon as this, I mean,
that was it.
before we even
there's
send it to the IRC, post it on Facebook.
there's a
Email it.
there's a skid fin rule. The convex skid fins are too expensive to make. So
They are not
Okay.
expensive, people. They are just a little bit more. But when you go to someone and they're charging quadruple what a normal skid fin is, they're just taking you to the bank. It doesn't cost that much.
right.
Jeez.
Develop the technology, you do it, and no one else is doing it. You charge what you want, but once other people start doing it, you can't charge that no more.
No. Yeah, it's just your fault that you're going to the wrong people to get that skid fin made. I mean, you can also go buy a $45,000 350 engine. That's on you.
Right. Yeah. That wears out within a year.
Yeah.
That's another subject for another day that someone brought up to me the other day, that these 350 engines, they don't really last. Like by the end of the year, they need a rebuild. And the guy said he used to run dirt modified cars, and like you'd run way more than you can ever run in a lifetime of a hydroplane without rebuilding. So I don't know. I'm not a motor builder on the fix of that one, but maybe it's the 2-barrel versus 4-barrel thing. I don't know. But it's a conversation for another day. I think we done hit 2 hours, folks. We are here for way too long.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, I
spoke way
agree.
too long.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I
Yep.
just never shut up.
Well, we have
do-
been gone for like 3 weeks.
we do have a guest lined up hopefully for next week. She hasn't said yes. She just gave me big eyeballs. But is female guest from HRL. So if I announce her
Everyone's
name right now-
HRL's
Yep.
favorite person.
Yep, HRL's favorite person. Oh, that's pretty rough, man. Don't put her in that box. She'll get in trouble. But
It's
the
just
leader in
it's not her fault. It's popular vote.
I would say she's leading the charge in this marketing thing. I think she put us all together and got us all in that room in HRL last year in the marketing thing. Got a lot of us fire stoked under us. Janik, hopefully she'll join us now that I said her name. She
Oh,
has
that's
to
out.
join
Gonna
us
has
next
to.
Tuesday, so she can't back out. Although she might be preparing for the gala. HRL's got their huge gala here in a couple weeks. So it's gonna be a good time. We'll try to do some content from up there as well. But
Do you want me to
That's
have a
it
rant
for-
about that? A rant about the time that they have their gala in the middle of freaking winter in the frozen tundra of Quebec Valley Field. Why not have it in the spring? Have it in the fall, not the spring,
Right.
the fall.
yeah, I'm
Like,
down with like a month after boat racing season. Let's get it over with.
you know, there's some people that want to go, but just aren't built for the cold like that.
I got a different gripe. The Lions game is probably going to be at 8:15 that night.
Oh my, yikes!
So if I win anything and I'm not there, not that I'm going to win shit, but that's why.
We carry in we're gonna take the TV out of the room, carry it in from the hotel.
Oh, dude,
room. We'll just
I'm
have
gonna
it on
make-
the table.
I am going to be trying very hard to hook up to that projector when we're done.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
'cause
is
they'll
a guy who
they'll
went to the
probably be
Lions
losing
game
to the
by
Bucks
himself.
that weekend.
Hell no. You guys aren't even going to beat the Commanders.
Yeah. And Baker, we trust.
Man, but this is a guy. Kyle went to the Lions game by himself.
Oh, it's the best time ever. I'd do it again. I already have tickets to the next game. I'm hoping it's Sunday. If it's Sunday, the week of the gala, we're getting up early as shit on Sunday morning and getting back here so I can get down to the game.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great.
That's fun. So yeah,
And if
we'll
we
be
win that
back.
one, I'm going to buy the next one too.
Are we on next
There you
week
go.
or are we doing 2 weeks?
We're gonna do every week. I feel like our fans gave us a list of people we got to interview, so we gotta keep
Yeah.
it going. We gotta keep content rolling
Yeah.
on here. Talking
Absolutely.
to
All right,
different
Dan.
people. Maybe one of ththese episodes when we interview someone and we're at like an hour and a half, we'll just be like, all right, we're done. Instead
Yeah.
of us going on for another hour, 45 minutes. Eventually, we're gonna run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, after the APBA national meeting, we're gonna either way. We'll have a lot to talk about.
Right. that may
And
not be a live episode.
Yeah, we
We'll
might have to record that one and then edit it. But
We'll at least have me, who is slightly more filtered than some of you out
I'm
there
filtered.
at the
I'm
meeting.
filtered.
You might want to
At
change
the
it.
meeting to give you guys whatever live updates and stuff that I can.
Can we get the Honda noise? I haven't heard it
Let me
tonight.
cue it up. Let me cue it up.
Dude, for one heat, someone's got to put a glass pack in their header.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, the S35 gonna have a whistle tip when you fire up in the morning. It's gonna wake you up with a whoop 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 whoop. My whistle go whoop whoop. No, that's throwing
Man,
it
I
back.
had
Look
that thing
stuff
come
up on
past those
YouTube.
pits, and all you heard is a whoop whoop.
Oh. But anyway, folks,
man.
that is it for episode 34. It's been a great talk. We had a great conversation with Mike Grendel 30 minutes ago. It's been a blast. Thanks for watching, tuning in to us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us so you get all our updates. We're going to start ramping up our content production. So enjoy the show.
Yep.
Thank you.